Hey guys, this is the Let's Get Ballyer Talking podcast. I'm Riker, my pronouns are he, him.
I'm Sal, my pronouns are they, them.
I'm Brian, my pronouns are he, him.
I'm Dan, I go by any pronouns.
Yeah, so this podcast is going to be bringing to light some of the issues and aspects of being part of the LGBT community, both within Ballyfermot, which is our area, and the surrounding area of like Dublin and Ireland in general as well. We'll be bringing forward our own experiences and our own stories, things that we've seen, things that we've heard as well. So,
the topics we discuss on this podcast will be colour coordinated. Typically, most of them will be assigned to each colour that is represented on the rainbow, which is usually the symbol of pride. Obviously, the final one being called Pride, which will lead into our actual event here at Familibase Ballyfermot, will be held on Pride morning, June 29th for this year in 2024. Every year, the Familibase organise a breakfast that is based on celebrating community and celebrating pride in the community. And if you want to come in, we'll have a stall there. If you have any questions of stuff, whether it's being discussed on the podcast, if it's personal issues, or if anything you just want to ask us, feel free to let us know, because we'll all be there, hopefully. It is an open table, so literally just come up. There's no queue or any sort of stupid thing you need to do. Just come up and ask us, please.
Keep in mind, this is all just a bit of fun. We're not professionals. We're just speaking about things that affect us and our own experiences. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy, and on to the episode.
Right guys, so this episode will be represented by the colour yellow, and we will be covering the topics of pronouns and identity. So I just want to start it off by the most important question: what are pronouns?
yeah, so they're words that are used to describe people, places, and things. Hey, I remember that. So we like obviously talking about people. So he, she, they, them, it, we, us.
Yeah, it's in every language typically, even like in some languages, typically European languages, they actually use pronouns for objects. So a table could be preferred as he.
Oh
she.
yeah, like
A table's preferred pronouns.
No, literally like in French there's
there's gendered
pronouns.
pronouns.
Gendered for like table, chair, window. I actually think
So
all of them are female.
Yeah, it's used in every language. It's
Yeah.
not like a new thing. It's been here for thousands of years.
And a common misconception is that only people under the trans umbrella use pronouns, but everyone has pronouns. Like, even if you are born male, your pronouns would be he, him. If you're born female, she, her. Like, everyone, we all use pronouns.
Yeah.
It's not
Even if it's like a plural group, you typically
would use they, yeah.
But they can be used for singular as well.
exactly, yeah. And on that topic, why do pronouns matter to you?
Well, I feel like a lot of people like take pronouns for granted because they're used to being called the correct ones, but for like trans people and non-binary people, being called the wrong ones, like it
Hurts.
hurts.
It can be really, like, almost demeaning in a way.
Yeah.
Like-
Especially when you've had conversations with people about it for
Yeah.
extended periods. Like if someone, I'm very female presenting, even though I'm non-binary. I understand I'm very female presenting because it's easier to find clothes
Yeah.
in the women's section that fit my body. But it just sucks when it's like people who I would have considered friends or
Yeah.
like mates for an extended period of time still refer to me as my dead name, still refer to me as she, her, still kind of haven't put in that effort,
Yeah.
even though they've known for the last 3 years, oh, Sal is non-binary.
Yeah.
They go by they, them pronouns, so yeah.
Yeah, no. It can be a very hurtful thing, especially like because being called the right pronouns, it's very affirming, like in your gender identity. It makes you feel seen almost. And that actually leads us right into our next question. What does misgendering mean?
Yeah, so misgendering is when you are referred to as a gender that you don't identify with. So, and as I was saying, I am non-binary, I use they, them pronouns, but I am very female presenting, so people will confuse. I'm assigned female at birth as well, so people will get confused if they see me and often actually go for female pronouns and use she, her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And yeah, I feel like I mean, at least personally, I don't typically mind if strangers come up and use the wrong pronouns because I understand, like,
Yeah.
not everyone is going to immediately know to ask pronouns. It's not something that people are taught to do. So
I don't get as offended. I feel like my friends get more offended if strangers
I find that too.
misgender me rather than me.
Yeah.
I get more offended of like my friends and my family if they misgender me.
Of course, yeah, because that's personal and they know.
Yeah.
Kind of like they know your identity, they know your name. It stings a little bit more than a random stranger coming up and using the wrong pronouns. But
yeah. Or like even if my friends slip up from like if people I know slip up from time to time, they're still gonna use it. It's been 3 years out of 23.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not gonna crucify them every single time they slip up. Like
yeah. Whereas like even like I've been out as trans for a little bit longer, but even still like I don't really hold family to it, you know, because they knew me since I was a wee babby.
Only a wee
one. So like that doesn't typically bother me. I'm actually more annoyed when it's people that have met me as I am now and then they find out.
Yeah.
Like if they find out my old name and call me by it, like that's kind of it's almost as if they're doing it maliciously, do you know? I do actually have a question for you, Dan. As someone who uses all pronouns, is misgendering a big thing for you? Like, is that a thing that you experience?
Can people fuck it up?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not out to a lot of people, so
that's very fair.
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
It's not a huge deal for me. Like, I do prefer certain pronouns, but I really don't care. I'm not going to correct anyone, honestly.
So there is still a bit of it. Like, understandable. No, I was just curious.
I mean, it probably go down to the same thing as well. Like people that like we know
people that know
we know your preferred pronouns, so we would use them more than anything else.
I mean, but like, even if you slipped up, I really wouldn't mind. Yeah.
No, I was just curious because, like, I was wondering if it affected someone who uses all pronouns more than it would affect people that use one set of pronouns.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
Yeah, as the only cis man on our team.
I don't get that problem at all because typically, you know,
I look like a man, I go by a man, I'm good.
Biologically a man. Let's see, so people will instantly gravitate towards that. The minute they see me, they click man. And it's like, cool. So I don't have to deal with that problem as an issue.
Yeah.
But your experience with, like, say, being around someone who is misgendered, even have you got
like your friends?
Like obviously I've been around enough people to know that it does hurt them. You can definitely see the disappointment on a lot of people's faces when other people aren't like you. You can't tell everyone to be like you or be respectful because it's them. It's up to them to be the respectful person or to find out or be like, you know about their person of what they prefer and what is comforting to them. And you trying is obviously, you know, it's a positive thing. You get to see that they're more comfortable around you. You know, they're actually treated the way they should be compared to when someone, say, comes over and misgenders them completely, uses their dead name and stuff. You can clearly see that it does hurt a lot of people. And there's not really much I can do about it. You can't really control other person's actions. I wouldn't say I'm lucky to not experience it, but it's also, you know, I wouldn't envy you for you have to deal with it.
Just another thing that I think we should bring up. What does cisgender mean?
Being cisgender is when you identify with the sex that you were assigned at birth. So if you were born with female body parts and you were still a woman, you would be cisgender female. If you were born with male body parts and you were still a man, like Ryan, you would be cisgender male.
And another thing with the word cisgender, I think, especially in
the
media,
whole idea of cis being a thing is portrayed completely negatively by media because they think it's they basically relate it to politics, which has nothing to do with it at all. It has absolutely nothing to do with what you believe in a system. It is literally just what you identify as. It's literally just that. It is a term to show that you remain your sex, you have remained that same gender, you have not decided to change your identity, or you've not preferred your identity to a different thing than your assigned sex.
And see, a lot of comments I see typically on social media about like when someone is referred to as cisgender is just call us men or just call us women, but it doesn't take away the fact that they are men or women.
I don't know, like it more or less categorizes them as standards.
Men and women.
Yeah.
But it's just,
But it also stems from a thing as well that when trans people say, just call us men, just call us women, and they will put back on them and be like, but you're not.
But you're
trans.
not, yeah.
So it's like, okay.
So now they feel like...
if we are transgender male,
Yeah.
you are cisgender male. And it's like, oh, don't put a label
Don't
on
put
us.
label, yeah. And like, not
Screw your
everyone,
labels.
if you don't want to identify yourself with labels, that's completely fine. But I just feel like it's important to mention that cisgender is not in any way a derogatory term. It's not meant to put you in a box. It's just a phrase used to differentiate you from trans people.
I think it's seen as negative because in recent years it's been more open to the public. A lot of things
100%.
that would be typically within the community have now been mainstream. People have been exposed to it, and people hate change. They absolutely hate change. So when they see a new term for something they're used to, they're not gonna like it.
No.
A lot of people are refusal to change. So they think this is changing what it means to be a man or a woman.
No,
it
not
doesn't.
at all.
It's just simply renaming it or rephrasing it.
Yeah,
It has-
it's just a word to describe what type of
the
man,
language
what
has
type of
grown.
woman you are.
It's just more vocabulary that you have to learn. That's a thing.
And I think as well, what doesn't help is the fact that a lot of the trans community, typically on social media, and it's not everyone, it's just a portion, and some mean it as jokes, some don't. Cis has been used as a weapon. Like, oh, you're just a cis man, like what would you know, blah blah blah. So people are finding it to be a derogatory term because it's being used as a derogatory term.
Yeah.
That is a difficult thing with a social media presence on
Yeah.
issues like this. Hate speaks a lot more than kindness online.
Yeah.
People thrive on it. They always look for reactions and for media attention because it sparks controversy. It sparks people. People love engaging in arguments because they love to express their own thing.
Yeah.
So for the media to portray such a small margin of the community that make it a problem, it's going to explode. And that's what people do think, because that's their first impressions of what that means. They think cis is a negative thing because they've been introduced through their own form of media. That's their first exposure to it. They're thinking, oh, what is this? Why am I being undermined? Why am I being hated for being me? And then they turn that hate back towards them out of retaliation, out of defense. But then it turns the wrong way because it's pointed towards the wrong part of the community as well.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
Everyone kind of suffers from it. Like it's.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
how
a
it
very
always
toxic
goes. Not
environment.
even just in the LGBT community. Like
It's every
Yeah.
community. You're gonna have
hate's
toxic
gonna
environments.
ruin it for everyone.
Like statistics have shown in recent years, because of social media usage, a lot of more toxic environments have born out of it. A lot of people's opinions have become very negative about different groups and stuff like that. Instead of us being more united than we were, say, 10 years ago,
Probably more isolated.
we're more isolated. It's more divisive. People are starting to you've already said isolate, but it's like they've grouped themselves under different things. They want to label them as completely different from what the label wants to unify.
Yeah.
They're trying to divide themselves from, oh, I'm not a cis man, I'm just a man, and then decide to absolutely label themselves as this man. Or I think in 2020 there was this thing where it's the straight flag. That was a big controversy.
Oh, the straight
thing.
flag, yeah. And
Where-
there is a straight flag, and there
There
has
is a
been a
straight
straight
flag.
flag for a while.
Yeah,
people
it's a black
thought
and
it
white
was-
striped flag.
Yeah.
People thought it didn't exist. They were
Yeah.
like, well, no, what about us straight people? Why don't we get a day? Why don't we
Yeah.
get a
Yeah.
thing like this? And yeah.
And I know we've already talked about exposure on the trans community and pronouns and the likes of that on social media, but do you think in our area and in the surrounding areas, like Ballyfermot, Dublin, Ireland, do you think that like the general public are aware of the importance of pronouns?
Not really. Don't know.
I think it depends on what generation you're talking to.
Very true.
Our generation, so bear in mind we're all in our early to mid 20s, so like our generation and younger would have a lot more
Exposure to it.
exposure to it.
Yeah.
They would have a lot more reasoning as to why pronouns are so important. It would be a lot more talked about.
Yeah.
Then people older, again, like even people in their 30s are still a bit
Yeah.
iffy about bringing up the topic. Like our parents' generation wouldn't get it. The next generation, our grandparents' generation definitely
Yeah.
would not get it. The kind of older demographic of people, and like Ireland has quite an older an older age range of people living here, so
it's a lot more of a mature audience range that they wouldn't be exposed to new things because they would once again hate change.
Yeah, and it's the same thing, old dogs can't learn new tricks and also bringing it
but
up
like
to
in saying that now, I got very lucky with my family. Now, did I find that I had to explain myself more and more as I went up the generations? Yes, but thankfully everyone was fairly chill about it. Sure, I bet some of them still don't understand it, but they won't say that to my face because they care about me. But no, I definitely see the generational difference 100%. Like when I said it to my little brother, he was like, okay. And then I probably explained myself for months to the older side of my family.
Yeah. But they're probably looking at you now and being like, okay, Riker.
Yeah, they probably still don't really get it.
Giving it thumbs up and like, they're crazy
the
kids
thing
and
is,
their words.
I don't think that everyone has to fully understand it to be respectful.
Yeah, no.
Like there's so much to it. There is there's so much information. I don't even fully understand it.
Yeah.
But
you don't have to fully understand it to try.
Yeah. And like that's what I mean. Like my family probably have no idea what I'm shouting on about half the time. But they still respect me, they respect who I am. And that's all there really is to it, you know? Like it's not this big scary thing, you have to learn all this stuff.
Yeah.
All you can really try to do is be respectful.
We're not great at that.
Yeah.
Ireland is not great
Ireland,
for it at all.
yeah.
Like being honest, it is a very how to call it, it's a very recluse country.
Yeah.
We have our own sort of
we have our own way of life.
Ecosystem here. Is that a lot of things that would happen here are completely different to the world.
Yeah.
We don't hop onto these things straight away.
The Irish people have like an old way of life and it's all new to them, and the younger generation aren't, yes, they're more clued in on it because of the likes of social media and blah blah blah, but I don't think that, again, we've mentioned social media only shows what's hot and new.
Trendy,
So, and unfortunately what's hot and trending is
hate.
The toxic side of the community, as is all communities. So a lot of the younger people are only being exposed to this, so that's all they're feeding off of. Like I don't think there's good education on the likes of pronouns in the LGBT community for young people in this country.
There's also the fact that because the older generations didn't get that education, they can't pass that personally on to the next generation. So
the young people that can kind of pass it on are the likes of us who are living it.
Yeah, and we can see that difference in the next future or so, is that a lot of them would have that basis, they'd have that foundation of respect and stuff. It happens generationally. We've seen it throughout history. Over the years, a lot of toleration and a lot of hate has subsided because people are more educated on certain topics and issues that can and will be addressed eventually by people. There will always be an audience for it that will decide, hey, this isn't okay. Hey, this is what needs to be changed, this is what needs to happen. We've seen it over the past 20-30 years with the LGBT community as a whole. We've went from being illegal to now being able to fully marry.
Plus the marriage referendum in 2015.
And on the topic of education on pronouns and the likes in our area, do you think that misgendering is an issue in our community?
Yeah. I would say but it literally based on the same thing as well. There's less exposure to it. Also in Ballyfermot, it specifically, again, it's kind of an older age of population of the community. There's a lot more younger families that have moved in, but still the general kind of sense, people that moved here 50 years ago are still living here.
Of course.
So
they grew with the community.
They grew with the community. They're still in the community. They're huge parts of the community, and we're very communal. Like
Ballyfermot is a very communal city,
town,
very communal town.
We are. We're very proud of that. And as much as things have changed over the last couple of years, especially
we're still Ballyfermot.
Bringing in the stuff and us bringing in change with our group and pride events and that.
Though I think it is nice to watch the town grow. Because we're still keeping those communal roots and the closeness of the community, and we're introducing new ideas. And honestly, I find
most people are open to it.
Once it's talked about and like people are, because even I work in the area and I've had a couple of people come into the shop that I work at and ask me straight up what my pronouns are and what does this mean and what does that mean, and generally like I get very good responses. Like people want to learn we want to grow.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a lot of people haven't met a trans person, so they don't know.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Or they don't know that.
Once they do meet someone, they usually start to get more respectful over time.
Yeah.
So that's even I've talked to people like our age, and they're still like, I've never met a bisexual person in real life. Never mind a trans person or a non-binary person. And these people are in their mid-20s and still live in communities where bisexual people aren't out.
Yeah.
There's definitely bi people living in.
I promise you know one bisexual person.
You know at least one bisexual. Trans maybe not, but bisexual definitely. But like there's people our age that still
don't want to come out. Yeah.
Yeah, but would still say, oh, I don't know any trans people. I don't know bisexual people. I don't know. We all seem to like congregate together.
We're in real traveling herds.
Yeah, traveling herds.
There's also the issue of that is that a lot of people don't understand that sometimes gendered or like, you know, way like certain objects when you're young would be gendered. So that pink is for girls, blue is for boys. They have that constant ideology set in their really young age. They've been introduced to such an early concept that is made these objects like dinosaurs would be for boys, Barbies would be for girls and stuff like that. They then carry that on later on in life, and they will instantly determine someone by even their clothes, for example. Even though it's primarily built for their biological body, it's made for comfort, it's made to suit them. Most of your shapes, for example, are actually built in the idea of your masculine or feminine traits.
Yeah.
They're made to emphasize those parts, and a lot of people don't realize if someone is conforming trans but hasn't got procedures done or hasn't got anything to do to make that change yet, whether it's through personal issues or financial issues, they instantly assume they're stereotype. They just go straight to misgendering instead of actually respecting the person first.
So do you think that gender identity is impacted by these stereotypical gender norms?
Yes, it is. And it's fine. That's how we know today what a male and a female is. But over the time, it's more or less how your identity now. It shouldn't be your identity is plastered onto these objects, because for all we know, in the next few years, skirts could be for men. And
well, in Scotland, kilts.
There you go, kilts exist.
Kilts are.
We're not saying that kilts are skirts.
Kilts are not skirts.
Please do not attack the Scottish people. We know the difference. It's okay.
But even in like.
But to the outside of Scotland.
Of Scotland.
Kilts would be skirts.
Yeah.
But kilts are primarily worn by men.
Yes.
Yeah.
It has also only happened in recent times as well. A lot of clothing, for example, was androgynous, which that is a term which is neutral. It does not have masculine or feminine parts. It is literally just a clothing type. It's there to protect your body. It's there to cover your body. It's not because a man should wear it or a woman should wear it. And that was for thousands of years until gender norms appeared in society and were a lot more conformed and forced onto the world. I'd say the perfect example of it would be the Roman Empire. Everyone wore tilts, all of them, every single one of them. It was just a class system. Well, it was a class system, but everyone wore the same clothes.
Yeah.
You didn't care if you were
it was
female
just a
or
cotton
male.
tunic.
Yeah.
And to base your class, you added things to the cotton
you added
tunic.
little trinkets
Yeah.
and little bits
Or
of
you had
bobs.
like little sash and
Decorations.
Yeah. But nowadays it's completely isolated.
Yeah.
You see all these.
But as well,
categories.
like your gender expression and your gender identity do not need to be the same thing.
Yeah.
As well, you can be a man and wear a skirt. It doesn't emasculate you. It doesn't mean you're less of a man. It just means you look fucking good in a skirt.
There you
And
go.
You can wear
Yes.
skirt and fishnets the same way that a woman can wear skirt and fishnets, the same way that a non-binary person can wear skirt and fishnets.
Even long hair. Long hair nowadays has been shown that if you have more than like 2 inches on your head as a man, you're basically exiled. You're not a
But
man.
I actually think there is more men nowadays with longer hair,
yeah.
and there's more women with shorter hair.
Yeah,
So
it's a
like we've
weird
kind of
change of
taken
events.
that whole thing
I
and
do think
thrown it on its head anyway.
Yeah, I do think in the past couple years that the whole idea of gender stereotypes and like gendered items and gendered hairstyles and clothing, I think that's all been kind of thrown out the window the past couple of years, which is nice to see, because I think it's silly.
Yeah. I remember when I first cut my hair short, I was 14, and everyone came up to me and said, "Are you trans now?" Because I got a pixie cut.
See, I got, "Are you a lesbian?"
Yeah, no, I got, "Are you trans?" because I got a pixie cut, but I was a tomboy growing up, so I was like in lads shorts and lads t-shirts, and now all of a sudden I have short back and sides and long on top, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're trans," and I'm like, "I'm not." But thank you. No, at the time I didn't know.
Of course, yeah.
Whether I did or not, I was suppressing it, but that's besides the point. But like at the time, it was very much so. No, it's just hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's just hair. It's just clothes.
It grows back. You can buy new ones. It doesn't matter.
Do you think that you yourself fall into or have fallen into in the past the stereotypes of your gender identity?
No. Not at all. I feel like because I'm non-binary, I get the good graces of I can do whatever the hell I like and no one can tell me otherwise, because I do not conform to any gender.
Yeah.
And you're all genders. I know people who are non-binary that are like strictly androgynous dressing, and they wouldn't dare to like go to one end of the scale or the other depending on how they're feeling. They're like, "No, I'm going to stick in the middle so people know where I am." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would dress a lot in like female clothing because they're the clothes that fit my body more than men's clothing. All of my shorts and t-shirts are men's because I like the way they look better than the women's stuff. But then most of like my going out stuff is dresses and skirts. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I'm comfortable in as well. So yeah, I don't, but I have the good graces of not having to conform. So, yeah,
it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Do you think that as a gay man that you conform to the stereotypical expectations of your identity?
I'd say yes and no.
Okay.
It's a very mixed bag. It's a limbo for a person who is a man but has a different sexuality to straight men. It's the idea that there's two weird, very thin lines that they do. If you're a straight man, you have to dress this way, which in our country is typically tracksuits, despite tracksuits literally being androgynous. Everyone can fucking wear them. Gay man side, you have to strip to the bare bone. You have to start wearing feminine things. You have to start wearing things like that would be, for me personally, would be uncomfortable. So now it's like, I'm going to mix the two together. And for me, clothing is an art. I do not give two shits what it looks like on me, if I look like a man or if I look like something out of a spaceship, like, do you know?
Something out of a spaceship?
Yeah.
An alien perchance?
No, not an alien. Unidentified life form. There you go.
Unidentified life form?
Cut it out!
I feel like I mostly conform to the male stereotypes, although I do have this weird fuck ass haircut. Yeah, I mean, I mostly dress in like, I guess you'd call this masculine clothing. I mean, yeah, most people just see me as like male, I guess, because I dress this way, but I don't know what else, how to like...
It's okay. It is a very confusing question at first because it makes you question, do I? Like, I guess I definitely used to. I definitely used to conform to like the typical stereotypes of male when it comes to dressing and my hairstyles and blah blah blah. I've come out of it a little bit. I've let myself calm down. Grew my hair out. I grew my hair out a little bit. You know, I'll throw on a skirt every now and then, probably, maybe. But I don't hold myself to such like strict restrictions as I used to when I first came out. And
I think when people first come out, it becomes, especially with themselves, this very toxic
100%
masculinity, toxic femininity, toxic androgyny, and you eventually you come out of that yourself.
You
anyway.
get more comfortable.
Yeah, you get more comfortable with yourself and with your gender
Yeah.
and with who you are, and then you come out of it. Do you know what I mean? But like, I would have been the exact same.
Yeah.
Like I know pushed so far for like the male side of things, so people would stop viewing me
Same
as
as I did when I first came out. I have to do this to be a man, and I have to play sports, and I have to dress like this, and I can't have my hair longer than
2 inches.
My hair has to be so short, and I have to talk a certain way. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's been almost 10 years since I first came out.
Yeah.
Like I have given up entirely caring how people I'd like to preface I've given up caring how people view me.
Not giving up entirely.
I will continue living. I think we've yapped on enough. The moral of the story is stereotypes are stupid and everyone can dress how they want. Obviously, again, Pride Breakfast, we will have an open table. You can ask us any questions if you have any. But the moral of the story is stereotypes are silly.
Yeah.
Everyone can dress how they want. Everyone can be who they want. And I think that's us for this episode.
Yeah, that's us.
Okay.
Please tune into the next one.
We'll see you next time.
Day day.
Day day.
Bye bye.